The Minister for Health, Kweku Agyeman, says his ministry will pay close attention to addressing health needs of persons with cerebral palsy. Some of these children, he says, serve society in better capacities than some non-challenged persons. He was speaking at the 2017 Child Inclusion Forum on Cerebral Palsy that took place in Accra.
World Cerebral Palsy Day falls on October 6 every year to celebrate and affirm the lives of people living with the condition. Pumpkins Foundation, in collaboration with Cerebral Palsy Ghana ahead of this year's celebration, organized a forum to deliberate on ways of addressing the challenge. In his address, Minister of Health Kweku Agyeman indicated the ministry is introducing physiotherapy units in all government facilities to cater for persons with cerebral palsy.
We will try to identify all disease burdens and look at how we can tackle them. Cerebral palsy is more on the patient, the child who has it, but the person who suffers most are the parents, and more especially the mother. And therefore, when we are doing social interventions and protection, we don't talk about only the child who has the disease, but the mother who sits home and makes sure that she's always there with the child. We are now introducing physiotherapy units in almost all government facilities, especially the tertiary institutions now have them. We are spreading down to regional and district hospitals. Sooner or later, you will see quite a number of them across the country. So we are also putting some emphasis on physiotherapy issues at the moment in our country.
Founder of Pumpkins Foundation, Besua Donor Hammond, tasked government to put in place social intervention programs to make life bearable for children and families caring for those with cerebral palsy. Secretary at Cerebral Palsy Ghana, Rachel Quay, who is also a mother of a child with cerebral palsy, appealed to parents to desist from associating the disease with evil spirits and curses and rather seek early treatment. She says love and attention should be shown to the children instead of stigmatization.
The stigmatization is so great. As I stand here, you see me so beautiful, so nice. You'll be fine and you'll be laughing with me. But if I should sit in a church with a child with cerebral palsy, nobody would want to sit beside me just because of my child. But if I'm alone, you are okay. And it's not a contagious disease. The fact that a child has cerebral palsy, it shouldn't mean that the child, if you sit by a child like that, you might give birth to a child like that or anything. You know, some children go to the schools and then the other parents take their children out of the school because there's a cerebral palsy child in the school. So the proprietors or the headmaster will be forced to plead with you to take your child out of the school. So you can imagine. Most mothers are not working because they have to take care of those children. So if even your family can neglect you, your friends, what I have been through, you have no idea. So as we are here right now, if you see a child with cerebral palsy, don't neglect them. What they need is love, attention, and care. So if your child is playing with a child with cerebral palsy, don't go and call your child away from a child with cerebral palsy. They're just like you and I.
Motorists on the Accra-Tema motorway have once again highlighted the many potholes littering Ghana's most famous highway and the many lives that are being lost as a result of the authorities' failure to fix them. Accra's radio stations and social media often inundated with advisories warning motorists about road crashes virtually every day, and quite a number of such fatalities intervention result in fatalities. And many of the motorists who ply the road, a lot of those lives could be saved if drivers do not have to carry around the many potholes there, and so want government to take urgent action. JoyNews Matilda Pamagan has more.
The 19-kilometer highway linking Accra to Ghana's main industrial hub and port, Tema, was built over 50 decades ago and has been a vital route used by many. Tens of thousands use the road each day, transporting both commuters and goods to and from Accra. The frequent accidents on the highway, however, make it one of the most dangerous. This driver explains how the poor state of the road is to blame for accidents.
The road is bad. Even when you're using outer lane, on the inner lane, the road is bad. All these potholes and things. So when you don't make careful, your friend will hit your back, then you have accidents on the road. Potholes, one is from abattoir from the Ajekojo Bridge under to Abattoir, you see these potholes. And near Trasako, that place is potholes. The iron rod was promoting, so when you are going, you are not careful, you blast your tire.
Motorists who ply the route frequently say they have become aware of potholes and know how to avoid them. They, however, say that does not make them immune to the threats on the highway.
The potholes from Abattoir went to Trasako, all no good. This don't serve. I went to the some car self fall inside. It just hit the potholes, entire service. I pick it to this system, Achimota.
How bad is it? And how bad is it for you, the drivers?
It's too bad. More than Maho. More than Maho. At times, if we are private wing, in case you can fall inside, or other you dodges, maybe the next car is your back, it can hit you.
For experience, all the time when I'm on the way going out, all the time I be cautious. Sometimes, because I've been using the road for a long time, so I know where there was a potholes, where I should overtake, where even if the trailer is my front, if I'm a speed at the limit at 30 or 40, I need to be in the back. When after where the pothole is before I can overtake. So always you need to be cautious.
Except for minor repairs on the road, it has not seen any major rehabilitation. The quick fixes have also largely not helped because of the material used to patch the potholes. Experts say, having been originally constructed with concrete, the introduction of any other material means the bond will only be superficial. In some portions of the road, the potholes are that deep, the iron rods woven into the base have been exposed. The absence of functioning street lights has made driving at night on the motorway even more dangerous.
On the night, the way potholes on there, especially we don't have any street light on the motorway. So when you are not careful and some can be spoiled on the motorway, you know, take time, you jam the car, then you cause accidents.
The mangled car barriers, the use of unauthorized stops by commercial vehicles and unauthorized pedestrian crossings are just some of the many issues making the motorway a highly unstructured route and have added to the dangers commuters and pedestrians are exposed to. Until some major interventions are made, the Accra-Tema motorway, which should ideally offer one of the safest routes to connect the two cities, will rather continue to pose a threat to commuters' lives. For Joy News, Matilda Pumaga, Tema.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Roads has disclosed that repair works on the Accra-Tema motorway is likely to begin by the close of this month, October 2017. And the Deputy Roads and Highways Minister, Antonia Bay Fakabu, said the ministry was in talks with the contractor to be assigned the job. He spoke to Joy FM.
Those of us who are sitting on the motorway today, can you give us a word? When can we expect to see the temporary works that you're talking about?
Oh, that is going to be making. I can assure you that by the close of October, a contract will surely be packaged. And a contractor. Yes, by the close.
No, Cabo, we can't wait till October. We need to see.
No, you can wait to October because don't forget the laws also apply. We have to go through a process.
Okay, so the suggestion is being made that highways should do this. First of all, is that possible? Do we have the capacity, the manpower, and all of that to do that as long as it is funded?
Kojo, it all boils down to money. Capacity, we can get a contract. So, it all boils down to the finances.
Okay, so you're the Deputy Transport Minister. Do we have the money?
Underway. Of course. As for the motorway, I think the Finance Minister has given us some, leeway on that. That is critical, and he's found the money, and we are going to put.
How much? How much is going to be spent on these temporary works?
I won't be able to tell because we're not looking just only at the motorway. We are looking at other roads as well.
Are you going to procure? Are you going to give out a contract, or are the roads and highways going to be brought in to use whatever the money is to fix it?
I know there's a particular contractor who's been earmarked for this, which is Core Constructions, which is having the capacity to do these works, pretty fast. And that is what we are working to get him on. But of course, the ministry owes this company so much money. We have to pay him to mobilize and get back to site and be able to deliver on this work.
Well, usually it's the media that will tend to report a number of these problems, but some of them also sections of the media are in some difficulty, and a number of television stations are likely to be taken off air in the coming few weeks in an ongoing clampdown on media houses operating without the necessary permits and authorization. 131 radio stations have so far been affected in an exercise by the National Communications Authority. The Communications Minister, Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, told journalists the NCA is also currently putting together a report on the incumbent TV stations and that an announcement would be made soon. She justified the disclosure, or she justified the closure of the radio stations.
Ongoing audit of TV stations as well. Thankfully, they are being migrated onto the digital platform. So any one of those stations which is currently enjoying test transmissions, which does not live up to its obligations under the rules and regulations setting it up, will not be migrated onto the platform and would by so doing cease operations. And I think that is the only way in which we can send a clear signal that we must make our laws work. It is critical to ensure that, as in every other civilized society, the rules and regulations that we all agree to, ceding part of our own rights and obligations for the general good, would be applied without fear or favor and malice or ill will, and dispassionately to everyone who may be caught. If every agency did perform their obligations that way, very soon this country would also be like the Western world, which we all so happily cite. When President Obama came here, he said we must build strong institutions and not strong men. How do you build strong institutions if the very rules and regulations setting up those institutions are flouted with impunity and people think they can act and get away with it?
Madam Ursula Owusu-Ekufo also criticized the minority in Parliament for attacking government over the NCA sanctions.
For anyone to even suggest that there may be some motivation other than strict application of our laws, I think is most unfortunate. And I would chide the ranking member of the Committee of Communications for his comments that he made in that respect. I think that they were most unfortunate. He, of all people, together with all members of the committee, should have worked together with the NCA to ensure that the rules and regulations and the laws guiding their operations are fairly enforced. So while commiserating with affected stations, I would also urge them to also live up to their own responsibilities as good corporate citizens under the law, and rather commend the National Communications Authority for taking the bold step to insist on compliance with all the rules and regulations that guide the operations of all those who receive authorization to operate any kind of frequency in this country. We're open to discussions. However, they must demonstrate good faith by paying a substantial portion of the fines that have already been levied. Then we can consider maybe entering into payment terms for the remainder. But we will insist that a substantial portion of the fines and sanctions that have already been imposed would be collected before we even discuss a payment term. But for those whose authorizations have been revoked, I suggest that they cease operating, because as from yesterday, as from today, the NCA has been empowered to also go out there and physically close down those affected stations if they continue flouting those regulations with those decisions with impunity. It is only fair that we make it possible for those who have been operating legally, and we lose sight of the fact that many majority of the stations have been operating within the ambit of the law and meeting their obligations as and when they fall due.
President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has assured the people of the Upper West region that his government is working assiduously to improve the security situation in the region. It says about 203 police personnel have been deployed to the region to help curb incessant attacks on residents. President Akufo-Addo gave the assurance at a meeting with religious leaders as part of his two-day official tour of the region. Rafiq Salam has more.
Bishop of the Ward Diocese Richard Kun Yeba speech at a meeting organized for religious leaders as part of the two-day official visit of President Akufo-Addo to the Upper West region was not only blunt but painted a mental picture of the region. Key among them is the increasing rate of armed robbery in the region.
Our roads are infected with armed robbers who operate day and night all over the region. Such armed robberies always done with a lot of violence, and in addition to the loss of property and money, there is violence and humiliation and even rape of our women and even desecration of corpses. In some cases, there are deaths. We urgently need a stepping up of the security forces on our roads.
President Akufo-Addo, responding to the concerns of religious leaders, stated that they were aware of the issue of the armed robbery situation in the region and has deployed 203 police personnel to beef up the security in the region.
There was a time not so long ago when the police had 1,500 policemen here in the Upper West region to ensure the enforcement of the law. 582 of them were transferred out of the region without being replaced. It is in the course of the last month we have begun now to be able to replace them. 203 police officers were sent 3 weeks ago to beef up the security situation forces here. A crack team has come from Accra to come and survey the situation and make recommendations to the IGP and to the minister and also to myself to what we need to do to enhance our security profile in the region to be able to combat the incidents that the bishop talked about.
The president was scheduled to have a whistle-stop visit at the Laura Nance Palace, but by the time he got there, the forecourt of the palace was already crowded with a sea of people, forcing them to hold a mini rally. Paramount Chief of the Laura Traditional Area, Napo Wele Kabo III, commended the government for introducing numerous proposed policies to better the lives of the people. He appealed to the president to construct a bridge across the Black Volta to facilitate trade between Ghana and Burkina Faso.
On the construction of a bridge at Dikpe, we note that Dikpe is one of the settlements located along the River Volta, which serves as the western boundary of the Laura district and the Republic of Burkina Faso. It is a major crossing point and handles considerable social and economic traffic on a daily basis. The construction of this bridge at Dikpe will no doubt boost economic activities between our two countries and further strengthen our social relations.
The Deputy Minister of Roads and Highways, who also doubles as a member of Parliament for the Laura constituency, Antonio Abe-Fakabo, stated that in the government's bid to fight poverty in rural areas has included in the next budget 46 communities in the district to be connected to the national grid.
Having traversed our region knows that rural electrification is a key to fighting poverty. I'm happy to report that after a cabinet meeting, His Excellency the President instructed that Laura electrification project be captured in this year's budget. As we speak, 48 communities have been captured and initial survey works have been done. A contract will be issued, and all these communities from Birfor right down to Bo are captured on our electrification project for the next 4 years.
Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Otiko Afisa Jaba, spoke of government plans to empower women in the country by strengthening the livelihood empowerment program and also expanding the school feeding program.
We are creating jobs for our women because the center of the home is the woman. If she is educated, if she's economically empowered, then the whole home will be happier and better off. No woman will cook without sending food home. And so we are engaging only female caterers. So those men who are putting their names down understand that we are going to weed them all out. This is an area that we can ensure that women have a sound footing.
Responding to the request of the Laura Paramount Chief, President Akufo-Addo said plans are far afoot by the government to construct a 200-meter bridge across the Black Water. He announced that the Laura district will soon be elevated to the status of a municipality.
The Minister for Local Government and Rural Development is here. Over a month ago, she came to see me that when the positioning of all the DCEs has been completed, she wants to make some additional reforms to the local government structure of our country in order to prove its efficiency and effectiveness. And that in the Upper West, she has decided that she's going to elevate 3 districts to municipal status. One of them is Laura. So any time from now, you will hear that Laura, the legal instruments have been created to elevate Laura to a municipality.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Laura.
Well, so that'll be it for the latest news headlines or the stories we have. We have a lot more news. We'll look at the newspapers, we'll look at the online portals, and we'll bring you a lot more updates as and when we do reviews and look at the various stories that are up for discussion. But today, you will by now know that it's a Wednesday, and so we have AM Business. We're focusing on the agricultural sector, and I know that Sheila Tamaklu and the rest of the team, they have great packages for us this morning, so please make sure that you are with us as we bring you the latest highlights on AM Business. But this month has been declared an awareness for breast cancer, and so for many of the hashtags, it has been declared as a pink month. And it's the month in which all media outlets create the needed education on the subject of breast cancer. And we have been giving you daily messages, and almost 100% of early breast cancer cases could be cured with the right treatment at the Horizon Hospital. But also you need to report as early as you can. And that's our message for today. Do not forget, though, that this Friday, the 6th of October 2017, is this year's edition of Adom Praise. And Adom Praise 2017 promises to be one of the most highlighting gospel concerts of the year. And as always, we have headlining artists and notable artists, not only from Ghana, but from elsewhere on the continent and beyond, who will come and grace the event. It is going to take place at the Perez Dome here in Accra. And then the tickets starting from 50 Ghana cedis are up on sale, not only at Joy FM, but also various outlets of the multimedia group.